95,000 men took almost a sixth of the land on Earth. That should not have been possible. For 54 years, every army sent against them lost. Then twice, something stopped them cold. This is how they did it, 1 year at a time. Every border on this map is approximate. In 1206, a kurultai on the Onon River proclaims Temujin as Chinggis Khan. His capital is Avarga, but Avarga is not a city. It is a camp that packs onto carts. East of him lies the Jin dynasty, and south of him the Western Shia. Both are older, richer, and walled. The steppe has been united before by the Zhongdu and by the Turks, but every one of those confederations came apart. So the first thing Chinggis conquers is not a country, it is his own people. The tribes are broken up and redistributed into 95 units of 1,000, each under a man he picks himself. Some of those commanders are of low birth, and none of them command their own relatives. So loyalty runs upward instead of sideways. That is 95,000 men answering to one person, and it is the machine the rest of this map is made by. In 1209, the Western Shia submit and pay tribute, and in 1211, the Mongols cross into Jin territory. Zhongdu holds out through 2 sieges and a blockade, but the city starves, and it surrenders in June 1215. The Jin court has already run 600 kilometers south to Kaifeng, but moving the capital does not save the dynasty. So how does an army of horse archers take a walled city? It does not. It stops being an army of horse archers. Chinese and Muslim engineers are taken into the rear echelon, and they bring siegecraft, gunpowder, and metallurgy with them. The empire absorbs whatever defeats it and then uses it, and that is the pattern for the next 60 years. In 1218, the Kara-Kitai Khanate is annexed with very little fighting, and the border now touches Khwarazm. A Mongol trade caravan is killed at Otrar on the Sir Darya. Chinggis sends envoys to complain, but the Shah kills them too. Between 1219 and 1221, the Khwarezmian Empire stops existing. Its army is bigger, but it is scattered across its own cities. Bukhara falls, then Samarkand, then Urgench, then Merv and Nishapur, and the campaign is remembered for its massacres. The chroniclers give enormous figures for the dead, but Juvaini and Rashid al-Din both wrote under Mongol patrons. So those are the numbers the conquerors wanted recorded, and this map is not going to repeat them as fact. In 1223, Jebe and Subutai ride right around the Caspian and destroy a Rus and Cuman coalition at the Kalka River. But this is a reconnaissance and not a conquest. They turn east again, and the Rus do not see them for 14 years. Chinggis Khan dies on the 18th of August, 1227. Campaigning against the Western Shia, he had beaten 18 years before. He leaves 13.5 million square kilometers, which is about twice the Roman Empire at its greatest extent. In 1229, a kurultai elects his third son, Ogadei, and in 1234, the Jin dynasty is finished for good. In 1235, they build a capital at Karakoram, with walls and a palace, and the Khan stops living on carts. But Karakoram is nearly 5,000 kilometers from the western edge of the empire. So how is any of this governed? The answer is the Yam. Relay posts stand every 40 kilometers, each with fresh horses, rations, and a guard. A rider swaps horses instead of resting them, and covers 200 kilometers in a day, day after day. That beats the Pony Express 600 years later. Remember the number because it decides how this next act ends. In 1236, Batu and Subutai take an army west, and Ryazan refuses terms, but falls in December 1237 after 3 days. Vladimir follows in 1238 and Kiev in 1240, and by then, the Rus principalities are paying tribute. On the 9th of April 1241, a Mongol force destroys a Polish and German army at Legnica in Silesia. 2 days later, and 500 kilometers southeast, Subutai destroys the Hungarian Royal Army at Mohi on the Sarjo. 2 kingdoms lose their field armies in 48 hours, but in 1242, the Mongols turn round and go home. Everyone knows why. Ogadai dies on the 11th of December, 1241, and the princes ride back to elect a successor. The Yam carries that news from Karakorum into Central Europe in 4 to 6 weeks, so the timing does work. But the campaign has already bogged down into sieges against stone castles the engineers keep failing to crack. And tree rings say the summers turn wet in 1242, flooding the plain the horses need to feed on. 3 explanations fit the evidence, and this map cannot choose between them. The honest answer is that nobody knows. In 1251, Mungke takes the throne and sends his 2 brothers out in opposite directions at the same time. Hulagu goes west. In 1256, the fortress at Alamut surrenders, and in 1258, Baghdad falls in a few weeks. The caliph is killed along with his city, and 5 centuries of Abbasid rule end with him. But on the 3rd of September, 1260, a Mamluk army out of Egypt stops the Mongols at Ain Jalut in Galilee. It is the first major halt anybody manages. The western edge settles on the Levant, and it never moves again. Mongke has already died in 1259 on campaign in Sichuan, and 2 rival kurultai elect 2 different khans. Kublai and Arik Boke fight each other until 1264. Kublai wins, but the empire never has a single ruler again. In 1271, Kublai declares the Yuan dynasty from Dadu, which is Zhongdu, which is modern Beijing. The Song have held the Yangtze for more than 40 years, but on the 19th of March, 1279, their fleet burns at Yamen. China is ruled whole from one throne, and by 1294, the map covers 23.5 million square kilometers. But the same decades find the edges. Fleets sail for Japan in 1274 and again in 1281. Both are wrecked by storms the Japanese later named kamikaze, and the empire never crosses that water again. By Kublai's death in 1294, this is not one empire, it is 4, and they are already fighting each other. The Golden Horde holds the northwest, the Chagatai Khanate the center, the Ilkhanate Iran, and the Yuan China. The Ilkhanate goes first, coming apart between 1335 and 1353, but the roads still work. In 1346, the Golden Horde besieges the Genoese port of Kaffa in Crimea. One Italian notary writes that plague corpses were thrown over the walls and calls it the start of the Black Death in Europe. That is one source, written later and at second hand. But the roads the empire built did carry the disease west. The Yuan have ruled China for 97 years, but in 1368, a Ming army takes Dadu. The court rides north onto the plateau it came from. 162 years, and it ends on the grass it started on. Every border here is approximate, and the dates are firmer than the edges. If you can place one of them better than I have, put it in the comments and I will correct it.